Earlier in the day, as many know who follow perhaps GTC Traders' social media streams on this particular brand, this little passion project we have going on, many of you who do follow those streams know by now that I train Jiu-Jitsu. And we were talking this morning, our head instructor, head professor, many time world champion. I'm very also impressed by how patient he's been with me teaching an old guy like me. And an old guy who tends to forget things. Regardless, we were talking this morning and he was mentioning about when he first opened himself up and began to pursue coaching and teaching, and something that absolutely dumbfounded him. And I'm talking about Samuel Braga, if I haven't mentioned it. Many-time world champion, and it just blew his mind that when he opened himself up for coaching, that people would come to him and it's like, yes, I want to be a world champion, and I'm just going to be dedicated, and this is going to be my sport. And he said he couldn't wrap his head around the fact that people just wouldn't show up to training. They would say all these grandiose things, and he would be wildly, and is wildly generous with his time and his patience and his resources, and people just wouldn't show up. They'd sleep in, they wouldn't show up to class, they wouldn't be eating right, they wouldn't have any of the obsession that it really takes to master a craft or a sport. And he was saying all of this, and he says it just took him a long time to understand that people just like to say that. They didn't really want to be the world champion. They like to just say that. And as he's saying this, I'm nodding my head, because as some of you know, this particular brand for mentoring, this sort of passion side project, GTC Traders, is not my first rodeo. I trained and mentored traders from like 2007 to 2017 in other venues. And we used to have an expression for that. The people are in love with the idea of being a trader. And this is why I was nodding my head as he was talking. People are in love with the idea of being a trader, and they want it to be simple. I just want to buy or I want to sell. Why can't you make it simple, bro? Because they're in love with the idea of being a trader, not actually in love with being an actual trader. They just like to talk about it. They literally get a dopamine fix from just talking about being a trader without the actual skill and dedication that it takes to learn these markets and actually be a trader. I meet guys out there that are mentoring, trying to mentor others. They can't even define what good performance is. That's a topic for another time.